Picture this. You're in an open field outside, surrounded by nothing but nature and other curious minds. There's no talking, and the only thing that connects you is the immersive sounds of the piano played by composer Murray Hidary. Once you put on your LED headphones and the show begins, you're immediately transported to a world of exploration, where you discover, or perhaps uncover, parts of yourself unseen. The Mind Travel experience is an opportunity to let go and simply be one. One with nature, one with your community, and one with yourself. I recently had the opportunity to go on my own mind travel journey with Murray and friends, and now I'm sharing that experience with you through this Abram Arts Media exclusive. Murray Hidary, how's it going? You're the man of the hour in the past 2 hours that we've just witnessed your incredible show.
Thank you.
So,
beautiful night.
Yeah, it was a very beautiful night. So tell me, what does it feel like when you put a show like this together and then you execute it? What's that experience like for you?
Oh wow. It's really about creating something from scratch. It's about, I say it's about creating a space, but you might say, well, there's already a space there. But the space that's here, especially when we're out in nature, when we're at the park or on the beach, it's a space that's used typically for something very different.
Right.
And we come and create an intentional space. We're coming together, we plop a piano right in the middle of the field or on the beach,
Right.
and then the audience gathers around. And I don't even like to call them the audience, I like to call them participants.
Yeah.
Because when you have hundreds of people in a circle around the piano, everybody can see everybody else, right?
Yeah.
And so everyone is in the experience of the other person.
Of course.
Because everyone's taking everything in.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we put this together, it's really about putting the right ingredients. It's like being a chef and putting the right ingredients into the pot. And then if you have the right ingredients and just the right elements, then hopefully the souffle comes out tasting really good. And
Right.
you never know how it's going to end up,
Right.
but we really focus on every ingredient, every detail, from nature to the music, the technology, and all the elements we do, the lighting. And if we get everything just right on the ingredients, then the experience should be good.
Yeah. I noticed at the end of the show, you do a Q&A with the audience. Is that an opportunity for you to not only gauge their perception or reaction to the show, but maybe perhaps do you use it to maybe do takeaways of like what works or maybe doesn't work? Or is it really just an opportunity just to kind of have almost like a impromptu sort of therapy type session?
When you listen to the folks that come up, I put the second microphone out there right after the music's over as an invitation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an invitation for us to shift from listening to being heard. And I think deep down, everyone wants to be seen, everyone wants to be heard. In their own world, in their own way. That's a deep human desire, is to have your voice heard, to have yourself be seen in the world. And in this circle, in a mind travel circle, whether it's on a field or a beach or wherever we do it, the music is like the music's really like the foreplay in a way. It's like the appetizer, because it opens up the heart. And then people come up and one by one, they share what's on their heart, what's on their mind. And inevitably, the hundreds of people there see their story in that person.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
They may look totally different. They might have totally different details of their life.
Yeah.
But it resonates,
Right.
right? That human story resonates with them. So it really is about an opportunity for people to express themselves. That's like first and foremost.
Yeah.
And that's part of the healing process also.
Absolutely.
They're listening, they're taking in the music, they're opening up, they're processing, but then when they share, those who are courageous enough, brave enough to conquer that little fear of getting up and speaking in front of others. The ones who do have an outsized healing in return because they finally get to just move it through them when they share it like that.
You know, what's interesting is you say each show has a theme. And tonight's theme was love. And I'm pretty sure you picked up on this as well, but most of the participants who did the Q&A, their response was something tailored to love or related to love.
Yeah.
Do you find that common when you do your shows, that whatever reaction you get from the audience is their story is based off that theme?
Typically, I mean, you know, the theme that I choose is an invitation into the reflection, right? It's if people just come and then there's no theme, you know, their mind might wander in lots of different places, which is fine.
Yeah.
But when we offer a theme, it really helps to focus the reflection, the meditation, the experience, and it opens up an inquiry because words like love, you know, words like joy and courage and freedom and hope and grace and forgiveness and all the themes that we'll do, these are powerful words, but we tend to take them for granted because we use them so much or read them or hear them. But a night like tonight with a MindTravel, it becomes an opportunity to rediscover what that word might mean in your life now.
Yeah.
Right? Not yesterday, not tomorrow, but like right now. What does love mean for you?
Yeah.
How is it occurring? How is it not occurring? What is possible? What is an obstacle, right? To experiencing, feeling, expressing more love.
So what made you pick that word for tonight's show, love? How did you land on that one?
You know, I did a Valentine's concert about a couple weeks ago, not even, and so I did the theme there, and then it just has been so juicy over. You know, we did about 10 shows in the last couple weeks, so I've just been using that theme and opening it up more and more. Yeah. So we decided to keep it through tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was perfect. I think that was perfect, especially for the atmosphere and the environment that we were in. I think that was a perfect word. Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. So taking it back to you, you know, you started playing piano when you were 5. I believe you were doing the piano and cello, and then you kind of transitioned over to the piano. So what was it about that instrument that drew you in to where you wanted to explore music more?
Yeah, you know, I started with the cello at 5, piano at around 5, 6, and you know, the piano really took over my musical expression because, you know, at the piano, you have the whole orchestra there. Yeah. You know, you have the bass and the treble and the mids and the highs and the lows and all of it. Yeah. So you really have the whole orchestra at your fingertips. And, you know, somewhere around high school, I knew I wanted to be a composer. Yeah. I felt like I had my own thing to say with music. Yeah. My own voice, if you will. And the piano is the greatest instrument for full expression. So I would just get lost sitting at the piano, you know, as a kid, and eventually was able to, you know, express myself through it, became a music major, and you know, the piano also is a unique instrument in that it's both a percussion instrument. It's got hammers. We say like the hammers, the keys and the hammers. And it's a string instrument, right? It's got 88, you know, strings, and this combination of hammers and strings is something quite special because when you play a note on the piano, it immediately starts disappearing, right? You can't really sustain it, right? We have the pedal, but even with the pedal, if you hit it once, the sound will disappear. Okay? Now, as opposed to a cello or a violin, right? A string instrument where the bow can keep going and it seems to be going on forever. So a violin, a cello can have this ethereal, eternal effect to it, whereas a piano is really grounded in impermanence, right? In this idea of the moment it sounds, it disappears. Then you hit another note, and then it disappears, and another one. So there's this wonderful lesson of impermanence that's built into the instrument and the sound of a piano. And I think that's what makes it so compelling as a human being for us to listen to an instrument that embodies the impermanence of everything, because everything truly is impermanent. And the moment that we embrace impermanence, we can have a deep gratitude for everything because we know how precious it is.
Now I was going to bring that up too, because I understand that you decided that you wanted to be a composer in high school, and then you studied composition in college, New York University, but then you pivoted and you ended up going into business with your brother. So how did that happen to where like you were clearly on the music journey, and then things changed?
You know, I after school, after university, and I, studied classical composition and piano, and I was like, how am I going to make money with this?
That's always that question,
right? With the classical music, and people with my degree would typically go into writing music for TV or commercials, things like that, which, is fine if that's what you want to do. But I remember asking a couple of composers who went in that direction, I asked them, when did you write your last symphony, or whatever? Yeah. And they're like, there's no time for that. Like I'm on deadline all the time. And, the money's good, but the deadlines were fierce, and they actually didn't have time to write the music they wanted to write.
Yeah.
They had to write the music they had to write.
Yeah.
And to me, that seemed like almost like a form of torture, like to be writing music every day, but not the music you want to write. And for me, from a young age, music was sacred. Yeah. Music to me was, was devotional. It was like my way of connecting with the universe. And so if I wasn't going to write that kind of music, then I didn't want anything to do with it. Yeah. But then I was left in a conundrum. Like, how am I going to pay the bills, and how am I going to... So I remember talking to my older brother, who was total computer geek growing up. When I was in music camp, he was in computer coding camp. Oh. Okay, like that's our summers.
Okay, yeah.
And so he said, Have you heard of this thing called the internet? And this is, when I was 22 and just out of school, and it was all just starting at the time. Yeah. And it fascinated me. Mostly so because the internet in its earliest days was all about connecting human beings. Yeah. And I was like, how beautiful is that? To me, music is all about connection, but now this technology is all about connection. So I found a way to get excited because it tapped into a value of mine, which was connection. In particular, human connection. Yeah. And so I was able to go into the world of technology and business because it had to do with connection. And at the same time, I kept the music as my sacred practice, as my personal thing that I did in the solitude of my home, as my own personal meditation, if you will, through music.
That's how you were able to maintain it, because even though you were focusing on one area,
and all those years of building tech companies and running tech companies, I actually had in my office a baby grand piano that I would play at the end of every crazy startup day. So that's how I maintained it, and eventually have now gone back to that exact practice that I did on my own. I now do, in front of audiences everywhere.
Yeah. You mentioned, you talked to composers about writing a symphony, their symphony, and you wrote and put your first one together at 30 in St. Petersburg, Russia.
Yeah, right? even when I was doing the tech stuff, I made sure to just spend as much time as I could advancing my music and putting it out there. I wasn't performing myself in these different opportunities, but I was able to have other musicians perform it, and that was very gratifying.
Right. Okay. So, you mentioned you were going down, you're credited as being one of the internet's earliest entrepreneurs, and that was the field that you were in. But then you had some life-altering experiences, from my understanding, as far as the recession crash in 2008. Sure. Unfortunately, you lost your sister Mariel when she was 23. Yeah. Would you say those were also the moments that made you decide that you wanted to get back into music and focus on that?
Well, when you go through, it's funny, both highs and lows. I had incredible highs, in the world of business and all that, and incredible lows, making a lot of money, losing a lot of money, making a lot, just this roller coaster ride. Yeah. And then personally, as you mentioned, with the tragic and sudden death of my sister, and I was there to witness it, so it was really a loaded experience that I had to work through. But I turned to what I knew, which was music. Music is the language of emotion. It's the language we turn to, right? Don't we say when we don't have words for something, we turn to music? Right. It could hold expression for where words fall short oftentimes.
I agree.
So that's what I did. I turned to music in my home, and in my apartment in New York, downtown, I would just sit every day and just play the pain through me.
Yeah.
And it really opened up a massive space. And in this kind of surrendering to the music, the emotion and the pain got to move through me. And then it opened up something quite powerful and profound. You know, the whole time going through that grief, I just wanted to get my old life back. But after something like that, I don't think it's possible to get your old life back.
Right.
It's too transformative.
Yeah.
But you end up getting a new life. And for me, in so many ways, even with the deep, deep missing I have of her every day, in many ways, it's opened up into a profoundly beautiful life in a way I could never have imagined.
Yeah. How did the MindTravel series come about? Because you got back into music, you started putting your shows together, and then you zero focused in on this new venture of interacting with people through MindTravel. How did that come about?
You know, having gone through that intense grief with my sister, I saw the power of music.
Yeah.
The profound power of music to move us through impossible emotional situation, you know, and come out the other side like completely broken open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that heartbreak actually allowed, you know, as they say, the light can actually kind of come in and go out from that heartbreak.
Yeah.
And so all I wanted to do was share that experience with other people who might be going through something similar.
Yeah.
And that was my instinct. That was kind of what I wanted to do. And I was at a point in my life where I had done a lot of tech and I was, you know, in a good position. And I said, you know what? I love doing the tech. I love being an entrepreneur, but I don't think that's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
I think I'm here for something different, something bigger. And that's when I just drew a line in the sand and I moved from New York to Los Angeles. And I just started to do exactly what you experienced tonight in a small way at the beginning. But I wanted to come up with a name for it because, you know, most musicians, you go, you know, hear them, especially in the classical world, you go hear a particular person. Yeah. You're hearing what they're going to do. I wanted people to come have an experience. So then it was about what is the name of the experience itself. And I started to think about it. I remember it was kind of brainstorming with a friend of mine over a dining room table. And I was like, well, it's kind of like this internal reflection. We're kind of going on this journey. It's kind of in your mind, like mind. And then MindTravel just came out. Yeah. And I was like, that's it. Yeah. It is a MindTravel. You really do go on this incredible journey that transcends time. You're in the past and the future and the present. And then it just all comes together. And through the mind, the heart opens.
Yeah. Would you say that's one of the things that sets you apart from other composers? What you just mentioned is they're not coming necessarily to see you. I mean, of course we know it's you that's behind it, but they're coming for the experience.
Exactly. I mean, one of the best compliments that I can get is a lot of times people will come and afterwards they'll come up and they'll be like, what's your name? it's like awesome. It's like great. Right. You know, I really want people to come and have an experience. And so, you know, when they see it on Instagram or online or where, you know, whatever, it's about transmitting that there's an experience to be had. Yeah. There's a place to be transported to. Yeah. There's a place of wonder to be exposed. Right? And it's sitting right in front of us all the time. Yeah. But maybe it takes this music, maybe it takes this setting to kind of unveil that for people.
Now, what we experienced tonight is the silent piano, but you have two other series, which is the silent hike, which that's hiking with people and they're still having that MindTravel experience. But then the one that really got me was this one's called the floating meditation. Yeah. Now, this is where you invite people to your home. Yep. And they go through the MindTravel experience while floating in your pool.
That's right.
So two things. Tell me more about those experiences. And the second one is, when can I get an invitation to that one?
Totally. So totally done. You've got standing invitation, floating invitation. So the walking and hiking one happened first because I love hiking. Like I love it. Yeah. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love going for meandering long walks and I love hiking in the mountains. I love hiking alone. I like hiking with friends and other people,
Yeah.
but I don't want to have the pressure of talking all the time. Especially you go on like a 2-hour hike
Yeah.
and you have the person next to you talking away the whole time.
Yeah.
You're like, can we just enjoy the moment together?
Yeah.
So I said, what if I go with friends, with a group, but we all put the headphones on and I have this music playing and I can kind of guide a narrative. And we tried it out and it was phenomenal. Because suddenly everything becomes cinematic. It's like a soundtrack to the landscape and to the mountains and to wherever we're walking. So it becomes this incredible experience of bringing music, mindfulness, but now movement, right, together with it. And there's a tremendous amount of science and research that shows when we walk, when we move, we actually are generating all these chemicals in the body that are so good for us, all these neurotransmitters, all these incredible chemical neurotransmitters and hormones that just uplift our spirit and our whole body and being. And so it is just a phenomenal experience of bringing body, mind, spirit together. And what better way you can meditate and lose some calories at the same time. But it's really powerful, and we've done that from across the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City with hundreds of people walking, across the Golden Gate Bridge, in mountains, on beaches, all over. So that one's really, really powerful. The floating one, we call this an immersive experience. But what would be more immersive than putting people actually in water? And so that's how the idea came. And then I realized that sound actually can move through water more efficiently than air.
Really?
It's the reason why whales can communicate, to other whales 600 miles away, 1,000 miles away. Because sound waves actually go a lot further
in water. Okay.
And the reason is because sound needs a medium. It needs molecules to bump into each other. When I speak now, energy from my vocal cords is moving the air that's coming out of my mouth. It moves the molecules that are in between us. And then those little air molecules are hitting your ear, the little hairs in our ears that are sensitized to different frequencies. And then that gets converted into what we experience as sound. Now in water, there's actually more molecules, and so it's like higher definition. It's like a screen that's 720 resolution versus 1080 versus 4K. There's more pixels, right, on the screen. Same thing in water. There's more molecules. There's more pixels, so to speak. So it's a higher resolution sound medium. And so when you're under the water, when you're floating, and your ears are back in the water, I put these speakers in the water. And I play live and guide the experience, and you're hearing sound moving around you and moving through you literally, and you can actually feel the vibration in the body. It is something else.
See, I knew I wanted to do it before. I definitely want to do it now that you've explained it that way. So you said you were going to be contacting the guests after the show with email. Right. So I'm pretty.
You'll have the schedule.
Okay. My invitation will be on that.
We did that when I first started it. We did it in an Olympic pool with 200 people floating at the same time. It was something else. But now I've got it fine-tuned, dialed in. I do it in my home, and it's a wonderful, very intimate experience, and people get to really connect deeply.
What made you decide you wanted to have it at your home instead of
I moved to Miami Beach and a few years ago, and it opened up a whole new world for MindTravel because we typically do outdoor experiences. And, most of the year it's too cold in places like, New York and California. People think California is all beaches, but 6 months out of the year, it's really too cold. But Florida has this ideal weather, right? Almost all year round. And so we bring it to beaches in, November, December, January, February, March, and we get to bring it to 18, 19 beaches and parks all around Florida. So moving to Miami was a phenomenal way to open up to more cities and more communities. But then I realized that the water experience, the floating experience, that is really the best place for it. Because you can have this heated pool and it's just always good weather to do it.
Your compositions are derived from mystical traditions and theoretical physics. Talk to me about that.
I'm so fascinated by the phenomenon of sound.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that sound even exists the way it does is such a miracle, that we can look at the whole universe as sound,
Mm-hmm.
as music,
Mm-hmm.
because really the universe is nothing but an infinite spectrum of vibrations. From the smallest level, subatomic particles, the little things inside molecules, inside atoms, right? Quarks, bosons, all of those are these little particles that are vibrating,
Yeah.
right? Even string theory says even within those particles, there's little filaments of string that are vibrating, and that's what determines different elements.
Yeah.
Helium, hydrogen, all that.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, you have this vibrating universe from the smallest scale to the largest scale, gravitational waves moving through the cosmos, right? Light, electromagnetic waves. We have X-rays. We have all these different waveforms. Everything around us, even if it seems solid, is actually vibrating.
Yeah.
And so I look at the whole universe as music. It's not music that we can hear.
Oh, right.
It's music that is happening, but if we put the right perspective on it, we can experience it all as music.
Yeah.
And so that's what I see when I look at the stars.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see when I look at the water. That's what I see when I even look at a person. They're vibrating music.
Yeah.
And so to me, physics is a way in to the musicality of the whole universe.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a wonder. That's just a beautiful way to see the whole universe, see the world.
Yes. Okay. You're also working on your newest project, which is called No Dream Left Behind. The mindset is of pursuing purposeful excellence, pushing the envelope, and taking risks. So what else can you tell us about that project?
You know, one of the ways I tend to make choices in life, decisions in life. You know, people ask me, how should I make a choice about this or that? The thing I go to is, what would it feel like at the end of your life? You're lying on your deathbed and you look back at this moment, this decision. How would you feel about it then?
Yeah.
And if the answer is, oh, if I don't do this, I'm going to really regret it.
Yeah.
Or even if I fail, I'm so glad I tried. Right? So that's the perch. That's the perspective. That's the place from which the best decisions are made. Because in the moment, it's easy to get caught up in the easy thing, the instant gratification thing.
Yeah.
But from the perspective of what's really important, looking back, 50 years from now, 20 years from now, 80 years from now, whatever. If we can put ourselves in our own shoes then, looking back now, we tend to make the best decisions.
Yeah.
So the idea of no dream left behind is to lead a life where the things we really want to do, the dreams we have, we don't look back, from, the end of our life and be like seeing a field of all these dreams that we didn't pursue.
Yeah.
Right? It's a life where no dream was left behind.
Yeah.
That's the idea behind it.
Okay.
And I do my best to live that way and to inspire others to live that way too.
Right. And obviously you're living your dreams now, so you don't have to wonder
Times 1,000.
what if or would have happened had I not.
Yeah.
So again, going back to themes, each show has a theme. Tonight's show theme was love. What would you say if you had to wrap up the entire MindTravel series?
Yeah.
Silent piano, silent hike, floating meditation, and tie it all together with one word, a theme for that entire series, what would it be?
Oh my, that's so hard. Words like wonder and awe come to mind. I would like to say love because but I think to be in a place of deep wonder and awe, think of that state of being when something is so overwhelming that you're in a state of awe over it. It's just so magical. Love puts us in a state of awe, but so do many other things.
Yeah.
So if we're in a state of awe, then something's going really right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really aspire to place people, right, in a way that awe opens up for them.
Yeah. Well, this has been an awe-inspiring night. I'm in awe of you. And I really enjoyed this mind travel experience. It was something unique for me.
Yeah.
I had never experienced it before, but I'm so glad I got the opportunity to do so. So thank you for
Awesome.
having
Thank
us.
you
and
so much.
congratulations. It was a great show.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you'd like to go on your own mind travel journey, you can do so by following Murray Hidary and Mind Travel Music on all social media platforms to register for a show near you. And be sure to also follow me at Abram Ars and register on my website so you can get updated information on new interviews and projects.